The test is in 4-part, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. Now look at Part 1.
You will hear two students talking about university clubs and societies. First, in the exam, you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 1 to 7. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 7.
Hello, are you the person to ask about joining a club?
Yes, I am. What would you like to know?
Well, I'm interested in several things, but I'd like to know more about the different clubs and how much they cost. I'm looking for a small club that's not too expensive.
OK. Have a look at this table. You can see the names of the clubs, the fees, and the number of members. I'm afraid they aren't in any order. If you look at the top of the list, the first club is table tennis. That's one of our new clubs.
Oh, right. So the table tennis club costs £20. That's quite expensive.
Yes, it is a bit expensive. The cross-country cycling club is cheaper, though. Membership fees are only £15, but on the other hand, it's got 100 members.
The film and drama club costs a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, £50 is a lot, and that's probably why it only has 12 members. Is there any other club you think looks interesting? Look at the next one, street dance. Have you ever done any street dance?
No, I haven't really.
It's the cheapest. It only costs £5. OK. Shall we start with your interests? What do you like doing best?
Well, I like photography. I've got a professional camera, so I take it quite seriously. But I can't really imagine belonging to a club to take photographs. I usually go on long walks on my own and take photos. So I like photography, but I wouldn't want to join a club to do it.
OK. So what else do you like doing? Running?
Oh no, not running. I like walking, but I hate running. I'm afraid the running club isn't for me, or the cycling club.
And film and drama?
No, it's far too expensive. But I do like yoga. I've practiced yoga on and off for years. How many members does the yoga club have?
It's always a small group. A lot of people sign up at the beginning of term, but they stop going after a few weeks. So they're left with a few regular members every year.
That sounds good. I think I'd like to join the yoga club. And what about the contemporary dance club? Is it expensive?
Contemporary dance? No, it's not expensive. £10 for the term. Do you like dance?
Well, I've never tried contemporary dance, but I do like jazz and tap dance. How often does the group meet?
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, in the exam, you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 8 to 10. Listen and answer questions 8 to 10. So, can I have your full name, please?
Victoria Mandeville.
Mandavil?
No. Mandeville.
L-E. Thank you. And how old are you?
19.
And your address?
57, Bury Gardens, Atherton Park, Manchester, M46.
How do you spell Bury? B-E-R-R-Y?
No, It's B-U-R-Y.
Right. B-U-R-Y. And do you have a contact number?
Yes, my mobile is 07942 573 279.
07942 573 279.
Yes, that's right. Is that all?
One more thing. Do you have an email address?
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
Part 2.
You will hear a talk about safety in different regions.
First, look at questions 11 to 14. Listen carefully.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here to talk to you about staying safe on holiday. Before I came this evening, I did a little research on where students like to go for their holidays and came up with 2 different regions, Latin America and India. So, I've been looking at the crime figures for both areas, and I thought I'd start by talking a bit about that. Then I'll give you some advice about how to avoid becoming a victim of crime. Okay, first of all, let's look at what kinds of crime are committed most in different regions. Okay, I'll start with India. Generally, India isn't thought of as a dangerous place for individuals, but there has been an increase in handbag theft in recent years. So keep an eye on your bag when you're out in the street. Right. Now, let's look at Latin America. Of course, you do realise that not all Latin American countries are the same, but it is true to say that guns are used in a high percentage of crimes across the region. Looking at the figures, it seems that gun crime is a serious problem throughout.
Before the broadcast continues, look at questions 15 to 20. You will now listen to the second part of the talk.
I can see some of you are thinking that it all sounds rather dangerous, but I know lots of people who've been there and had a really great time. They followed advice from the authorities, like making sure they didn't wear expensive jewellery in the street. And I'd certainly advise anyone travelling to Latin America to do the same. Another thing you should be careful of is not to go to lonely places at night. But of course, that's the same anywhere. But I must say, you do have to be very careful in some parts of Latin America when you take your money out of a cash machine. Sometimes you find that thieves stand very close to people at cash machines and take their money as it comes out. Okay, so now I'll finish by talking a little bit about India. I've actually been to India, and I didn't have any feeling that it was dangerous at all. First of all, I went on an organised tour with a group of people. This is definitely the best way to go because it's so much safer. I mean, I didn't go anywhere without the group, and we had a tour guide who spoke the local language and knew the area. In fact, I remember now, she warned us not to go off with strangers, even if they seem nice and friendly. But again, you wouldn't do that at home either, would you?
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
Part 3.
You will hear a conversation between two people who are about to share a project at work.
First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hi Bill, how are you?
I'm okay now, Sarah, but I was so ill last week.
Oh dear, what was the problem? Did you eat that dodgy fish in the canteen?
No. At first, I thought it was a cold, but then my head started hurting and my eyes started to go blurry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That sounds serious.
Yeah, it's okay actually. I went to the doctor and he diagnosed me with a migraine. He gave me some medicine and I'm starting to feel much better.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Well, I'm also glad you're in today because we have to work on a new project together.
Oh, are we in the same section?
No, it's just us. No one else. Mr. Donaldson put us down as B team because we live near each other.
That could be fun. What do we have to do?
Well, the project is partly internet research, then checking reference books for information to prepare a survey, which we have to use with people we know.
Great! What's the topic?
It's to do with shopping over the last 10 years. We have to find out how customers have changed their behaviour.
OK, so what's the first step?
I think the first thing to do is to check the list of references he gave me. But my computer is in for repair, so if I check in the reference library, would you be willing to look up some references online? Once we're done with the reference checks, we can write the questions together.
That's fine. I'll do the internet research. So, what sort of shopping are we looking at? Only food or goods or clothes shopping?
We have to find people who are willing to tell us about personal things, like deodorants, cosmetics, soap, or vitamin creams. The other groups are doing food, electrical goods and clothes.
That won't be so easy, Sarah.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
People might think those things are a bit private.
Yes, I thought about that. I'll ask the women and you can ask the men. That should work okay.
Well, if you think so. Give me the list of references then.
Sorry, I left them in my other bag at Joseph's house. I'll get them for you tomorrow.
OK. Well then, this afternoon, I think I'll catch up on the notes from last week. Can you help me, or are you busy?
I've made you a copy of my notes already to save you time. Here you are.
Wow, thanks, Sarah. That's so thoughtful. Well, since there's nothing for us to do right now, shall we go for lunch?
Well, actually, I'll have to catch you later. I have to go to a meeting this afternoon. Can I phone you tonight to arrange when to meet?
No, sorry. I have a date. Can we meet in the laboratory for the first class tomorrow?
I'm not sure because I have to go to the library to collect some books. What about meeting there at lunchtime?
Do you mean in the lab?
Yes.
OK. See you in the laboratory tomorrow at noon then. Sounds like we have a lot of work to do.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4.
You will hear an orientation lecture on sports therapy.
First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning and welcome to the university's Open Day and to our lecture on sports therapy. There are 2 good reasons to be here. Firstly, you will experience what a university lecture is like, so take out your notebook and pen. And secondly, you will find out about the sports therapy programme. OK. So what does a sports therapy programme involve? Everybody in today's society knows the impact sport, health and fitness makes on the population's physical and mental health. Studying at Kent will develop your understanding of the ideas and issues within the sports therapy, health and fitness industries. Sports therapy is one of the fastest growing careers within the sports sector. The programme teaches you all the specialist knowledge you need in order to work within these industries. This includes scientific aspects such as anatomy and physiology and sports psychology. You learn how to design training programmes and lifestyle profiles for a range of clients and to understand the role of sports promotion and event management. The degree also covers the treatment and prevention of sporting injuries and the importance of referral programmes. There will be a full description of these subjects for you available at the door when you leave this lecture. Now, just to talk a little about teaching and assessment. The programme involves taking part in and designing practical sports sessions, lectures, small group seminars and private study. On average, you have 6 lectures, 3 practical sessions, and a 1-hour-long seminar per week. And you also spend additional time developing your coaching and theoretical knowledge in real-life situations. At Stage 1, The first half of the year is assessed by 100% coursework and observed assessments. A majority of the modules also have written exams within the final half of the year, with the rest practically assessed. Stage 2 and 3 assessment varies from 100% coursework to a combination of examination and coursework, usually in the ratio 50-50, 60-40, or 80-20. You're probably wondering what career paths you can take once you've completed this degree. Well, careers can vary from employment in health and fitness clubs, sports injury clinics, sports development within local authorities, or with national governing bodies of sport, working in community leisure or sports attractions, self-employed personal trainer or sports therapist. There are some requirements you need to fulfill to enter this course. International students can qualify with the following: school certificates and higher school certificates awarded by a body approved by the university, matriculation from an approved university, with a pass in English language at GCSE O-level or an equivalent level in an approved English language test, passing one of Kent's foundation programmes, provided that you meet the subject requirements for the degree course you intend to study, or an examination pass accepted as equivalent to any of the above. In order to enter directly onto a degree course, you also need to prove your proficiency in English, and we ask for one of the following: average 6.5 in IELTS test, minimum 6.0 in reading and writing, Grade B in Cambridge Certificate of Proficiency in English, Grade A in Cambridge Advanced Certificate in English, a pass overall in the JMB/NEAB test in English for overseas students, with at least B in writing, reading and speaking modules, a TOEFL score of at least 580 written test or 237 computer test. If you haven't yet reached those standards, Kent runs a foundation course for international students, which gives you a year's academic and language training before you begin on your degree. Right, that's about it. Any questions?
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.